Every Soul Reaper has a katana called a Zanpakuto, and each one possesses a Shikai release. Bankai refers to a Zanpakuto's second release, and it can usually only be achieved by captain-level Soul Reapers. Fans have seen more than a dozen of these Bankai, and they are all extremely powerful, but some are far stronger than others, and here are the 15 strongest Bankai. Number 15. Ryumen Hazukimaru's power increases when damage is dealt or received. Ikkaku has been a fan favorite ever since he debuted during the Soul Society arc. He loves to fight, and his Zanpakuto is perfect for melee fighting. His Shikai is a type of spear that can split into 3 pieces, but his Bankai is far larger, and it deals a lot more damage. Ryumen Hazukimaru takes the form of 3 different weapons that are all connected via a thick metal chain. The main weapons are a monk's spade and pole-like weapon, but there is also a large axe blade with a dragon crest above his head. The crest continues to turn red each time Ikkaku receives or deals damage, and when it is fully charged, he can utilize his Bankai's true cutting power. Number 14. Suzabimaru can reduce enemies to ash. There was a great deal of emotion when Ichigo battled Renji, and what makes their fight even more interesting is the fact that neither had achieved Bankai yet. Renji achieved it shortly after his defeat, and it took the form of a long skeletal snake. This was not his Bankai's true form, however. The true form is achieved during the 1000-year Blood War arc, and it is much smaller. The iconic snake skull is now a gauntlet with a protruding blade, and snake vertebrae cover Renji's body. When he impales someone, the Bankai produces jaws made of spiritual energy that latch onto his opponent. He can then shoot them with a blast that can turn the target to ash. Number 10. Haka no Tagame Rukia Kuchiki. Rukia is by no means a cold person, but that hasn't stopped her from being a perfect match for Sota no Shirayuki. In its Shikai form, Rukia has access to several ice abilities that she refers to as dances, but none of those dances have her Bankai's freezing capacity. Known as Haka no Tagame, this Bankai doesn't just alter Rukia's appearance. In fact, it reduces the temperature of a specific area to absolute zero, basically freezing all forms of matter. Haka no Tagame also spawns a gigantic pillar of ice that produces ultra-cold mist. If anyone tries touching Rukia in this form, they will automatically freeze solid. Number 9. Kanjiki Ashisogi Jizo Mayuri Kuratsuchi. Mayuri Kuratsuchi uses his Shikai so rarely that fans can barely recall what Ashisogi Jizu looks like. However, his Kanjiki Ashisogi Jizo is the first Bankai to be revealed in Bleach. It takes the form of an enormous worm with a baby's head when Mayuri battles Uryu, but the latter manages to destroy the Bankai with a "let's still." Mayuri proceeds to enhance and modify Kanjiki Ashisogi Jizo far beyond its natural limits, transforming it into a monumental force of nature. The Shinigami captain duels Pernita Parnjas using a radically different Bankai, which proves to be significantly stronger than the original version. Number 8. Senbensakura Keijoshi Baikuya Kuchiki. Kuchiki Baikuya rarely brings out his Bankai, largely because he doesn't have any worthy opponents to fight. He handles the vast majority of his enemies with his Shikai Senbensakura, overwhelming them with a flurry of razor-sharp petals. After Ichigo demonstrates his massive Ryoryoku boost during their initial battle, Baikuya is convinced to unleash his Bankai for the first time. Senbensakura Keijoshi is almost identical to its Shikai, except 100 times more powerful. As expected from a fan-favorite character, Baikuya's Bankai receives a tremendous upgrade in the 1000-year Blood War arc. Number 7. Kanenbaraki Banayam Aratane Urahara Kisuke. Fans have been waiting for Kisuke Urahara's Bankai ever since he hinted that it was unsuitable for training purposes. Then again, developing an ability as unique as Kanenbaraki Banayam Adaram isn't very surprising when it comes to someone as eccentric as Urahara. This Bankai assumes the shape of a giant woman, although it doesn't seem to rely on any sort of direct combat. On the contrary, Kanenbaraki Banayam Adaram can restructure anyone or anything within a predefined zone. The Bankai nonchalantly reverts Urahara's blindness and tears a hole in Asuka's body, further illustrating its devastating potential. Number 6. Daiguren Hyoran Maruta Shiro Hitsugeya. Ichimaru Jin accurately summarizes Toshiro Hitsugeya as the heavenly white angel that blesses Soul Society once a century. While considerably younger than the rest of the Godai 13, Hitsuge proves himself worthy of becoming a captain. His Shikai is capable of controlling and manipulating ice, not unlike Rukia's Zanpakuto. The major difference, however, is that Hyorinmaru is a magnified version of Sota no Shirayuki. By extension, Daiguren Hyorinmaru will eventually transcend every other Bankai in Bleach. Hitsuge showcases the upper limits of Daiguren Hyorinmaru in the Thousand-Year Blood War arc, where he temporarily phases Gerard Valkyrie. #5. Kaiten Kaiokatsu. Karamatsu Shinju Kyoraku Shunsui. Shunsui Kyoraku is known for being a laid-back individual, and his Shikai Kaiten Kaiokatsu reflects his upbeat attitude. That said, Kyoraku's true nature is revealed through his Bankai, Kaiten Kaiokatsu, Karamatsu Shinju, which engulfs the environment in an atmosphere of gloom and despair. There are 4 acts to this Bankai, the first of which involves Kyoraku and his opponent sharing any injuries they inflict on each other. The second act causes black spots to appear on the enemy's body, causing them to bleed profusely, while the third act drowns them both. The final act has Kyoraku wrap a thread around his enemy's neck, leading to instant decapitation. #4. Minazuki Urtsu Anohana. She may be Soul Society's best healer, but there's a lot more to Captain Anohana than just playing doctor. It turns out that Anohana was once a brutal criminal who became the original Kenpachi, radiating so much raw power that even a pre-mortal Aizen was wary of fighting her. Anohana's Shikai converts Minazuki into an oversized one-eyed manta ray that heals the wounds of anyone it consumes. On the other hand, her Bankai manifests a thick, viscous, dark red substance, arguably blood, before turning into a katana, which turns into a separate small katana, also called Minazuki. This Bankai's true powers remain unknown. #3. Nazarashi's nameless Bankai Zaraki Kenpachi. Mangaka Tite Kubo has described Zaraki Kenpachi as the demon of the bloodthirsty sword, a fitting epithet for this battle-driven warrior. Kenpachi has but one desire in life: finding someone who can keep him entertained during a fight. He's delirious upon meeting Ichigo, even if the latter doesn't share Kenpachi's violent ambition. Kenpachi's unawakened Zanpakuto is more than enough to defeat practically everyone he meets, including trained combatants like Enoitra Gilga. His Shikai Nazarashi effectively decimates Gremi Thumo, an overpowered Sternritter. However, Kenpachi's unnamed Bankai is unquestionably one of the strongest abilities in Bleach. #2. Zanka no Tachi. Yamamoto Genusai. Captain Commander Yamamoto may be the oldest member of the Godei 13, but he also happens to be the strongest. His Ryujin Jaka is officially called the oldest and most powerful fire-type Zanpakuto, but this description fails to take his incomprehensible Ryuryoku into account. Yamamoto's Shikai produces a blazing flame, but his Bankai takes things to a whole new level. Merely releasing Zanka no Tachi forces all the moisture in the area to evaporate. Even characters as durable as Kyoraku and Ukitake are affected by this Bankai, despite being miles away from Yamamoto. Captain Anohana mentions that Zanka no Tachi could technically vaporize the entirety of Soul Society. #1. Tensa Zenjutsu. Ichigo Kurosaki. As a classic shonen protagonist, Ichigo Kurosaki ultimately becomes the strongest heroic figure in the story. His Zenjutsu doesn't seem very impressive at first glance, but that's only because Ichigo doesn't recognize his own ancestral heritage. He fully comprehends his legacy in the Thousand-Year Blood War arc, explaining why he ends up with 2 Zenjutsus. Although Ichigo's Bankai was originally just a slender black sword, Tensa Zenjutsu later metamorphoses into a black and white combo weapon. Unfortunately, fans don't get to see how this new and improved Bankai functions. That said, it's clear that even the omnipotent Iwatch is terrified of Ichigo, indirectly making Tensa Zenjutsu the most powerful Bankai in Bleach.